So I'm going to be discussing the handbook, which is very exciting. It just very recently came out. You've probably seen it on Facebook, on Instagram. It's been circulating around. So that's excellent to see. As you can see, I've placed here the link where you can download it. And this is what our cover looks like. Today, what I'll be focusing on is at the main purposes of the handbook. Who are its end users, the impact. I'll also be taking a look at the different phases of the publication process so that you can understand a little bit of the end product, and also the main sections, which I'm sure that you're excited to look at. So without further ado, well, the main purpose is the volume. So what we wanted to do with this handbook was to document the project activities and the results, but especially to focus on the CPD course, which Nikos has already talked about, which was based on the needs analysis that Lucilla just presented. And it's also the issue of supporting the dissemination, its sustainability, transferability, and the multiplication prospects of the project, and also to increase the impact of the project at a local, regional, national, European, and international level. And this we've seen thanks to all of you who have been sharing the handbook online, which is of great relevance to everyone, especially to the end users of our handbook. I'm sorry, there's some construction in the house next to me. I'm hoping that you're not hearing it. I'll try to do my best so that you can understand what I'm saying.
We perfectly understand you, really. Don't worry.
Okay, good, because I'm hearing the noise and I was just worried that you may not be hearing me clearly. So the end users of the handbook are practitioners, especially taking a look at English language teachers, but also teacher educators that we've already been discussing. We also took into consideration the educational decision and policymakers, who also play an important role, NELT, and also researchers regarding issues of multilingualism, of course, English as a lingua franca, English pedagogy, teacher education. So when we were drawing up the handbook, we took into consideration all of these groups and the impact that it may have on them. Regarding the impact, one of the issues that is relevant to mention is that this type of publication is unprecedented. It's very unique in the sense that it can have an impact on the end users that I just referred to, and the fact that it's unique, it's new, it's fresh, and it can be useful for these different groups. One of the things that is important to mention above all is that even though the editors of the handbook were the Lisbon team, all the partners were involved in the completion of this output, all the partners in all the universities in all the countries. And if we're going to take a look at the production of this output, it was organized into 4 main phases over a period of 14 months in total. And the activities included in each of these phases are the following. So we had here phase A, which was the development of the handbook materials, which took approximately about 5 months, and we started working on it last year in September until relatively, January of this year. Then in phase B, we had the piloting phase, which was about 2 months. Phase C, which had to do with the refinement and publishing, which we did over the spring and summer. And then the phase D, which is finally where we are today, the dissemination of it. And I'm going to take a look a little bit at each one of these phases now. So taking a look at the phase A, the development of the handbook materials, first of all, we had the brainstorming of the content and the layout of its sections in relation to the purposes it intended to serve and its specific requirements regarding the several different target audiences. And this, of course, was done, as I mentioned, with everyone via a very lengthy online meeting. Unfortunately, when we started this aspect of the handbook, it was all done online through online meetings with everyone. So it was very, these sessions were very intense, which was good to have everyone involved. Then the phase A was determining the components of each section. So we took into consideration the needs analysis findings, for instance, that Lucilla referred to, the CPD materials and the activities that and the teachers and learners work that was produced during the course. So we have some feedback from that. And we also delineated key information that could be integrated in each section. Again, always bearing in mind the different end users of the handbook. And of course, because this is a very extensive piece of work, all the work was divided among the different team members of the ENRICH project. So without them, this would have been impossible. Phase A also consisted in developing a first draft of each of the sections by each partner that was responsible for each one of them. And we also had, again, because we wanted to ensure quality in terms of the handbook towards the end users, we had a critical reading of the first draft, which was done by another partner of the project and who provided constructive feedback on what could have been improved, issues to consider in it. And then each author would go back, integrate the feedback into their section so that we would have a second draft of the each chapter, let's say, or each section. Phase B consisted here in the piloting. Again, so as you can see, when we were drawing up here the handbook, there were several phases, so to ensure, again, the issue of quality, of making sure that it was clear. And one of the aspects was the importance of recruiting, piloting members that from English language teachers to English language teacher educators, from educational and policy, educational decision and policymakers, as well as researchers. So each country had approximately 1 to 2 members of each category. So to ensure that we had feedback from all of the different countries and all of the different groups involved. Again, so piloting all the sections of the handbook, and again, these piloters provided constructive feedback, which was done under the guidance of each partner from each respective country. And we had kind of like a form, a Google online form that they had, that they could provide feedback regarding issues of language to content, in which they could give some more in-depth feedback. So this was an important phase as well. And then the phase C, which consisted in the refinement and publishing stage, which consisted in analyzing the feedback that we received from all the piloters in each of the countries, so that we could determine how we could improve each of the each section. Again, this was all done online, through online meetings with all of the team members, so that we could see the feedback that was received, what we could do. Again, without the fabulous work and feedback from all of the team members involved and all the piloters that participated, probably some of you are here watching us today. Thank you for all of your hard work in this. Again, so after we received that feedback, after what we decided could be implemented, we went back, incorporated that feedback, and refined each of the sections so that we could improve them. And then we had the proofreading, editing, and final formatting of the handbook. So as you can see, this takes some time, several months. And we had finally the publishing of the printed version of the handbook, which is what we finally have here, which is the dissemination and evaluation, which in our proposal, it said dissemination of the handbook at the final international conference to be held in Athens. Unfortunately, we're not in Athens. Everyone would have loved to be there, but it is done online today. So that is with great pleasure that we're here to disseminate all our work that we've done and coming to the final product. So taking a look at each of the main sections of the handbook, which is probably what interests most of you anyway, is it's divided into 5 main chapters. We have the first chapter, which focuses on the ENRICH project, chapter 2 on the needs analysis, chapter 3 on induction, chapter 4, the CPD course sections, and chapter 5, the evaluation and lesson learned. So I'm going to take a look at each one of these now so they can have a general idea of what they contain. So taking a look at chapter 1, the ENRICH project, key information of the project is provided, and it's essentially what Nikos talked about today here in his first intervention in our panel, in which he talks about its priorities, its objectives, what's innovative about the project, the tangible and intangible results, who are the target audiences, and what's the overall scope and vision, let's say. And the special emphasis is placed on, again, the issues of ENRICH, right? So teachers' competences regarding issues of ELF, issues of networking, teaching that integrates ELF in multilingual classrooms regarding especially learners from migrant backgrounds, also refugees, focusing on innovative teaching practices, and also appropriate cultural content related to the European cultural heritage. And then again, the CPD methodology, which is adapted here and which we've already discussed. Chapter 2, which focuses on what Lucilla just talked to us previously before. So if you want, you can take a look at chapter 2 of the handbook to obtain more information. It focuses on the needs analysis findings that refer to their theoretical and practical implications for English language teaching and learning at what we have a practical and implementation level. So how learners describe their current use of English outside the classroom and implications for teaching and teacher education. At an educational policy level, so the implications for integrating ELF issues in initial teacher education and induction, and also at a research level, what areas based on the findings need to be explored more thoroughly and why. So if you, I know Lucilla went quickly through her presentation here, so if you want, you can go to chapter 2 and read it and have access to what she mentioned. In chapter 3, the induction, it focuses on who are our 4 main groups that we're focusing on here. As I mentioned, English language teachers, teacher educators, academics and researchers, and educational policymakers. So it basically provides some insights on the way ENRICH concerns these stakeholders and how they could benefit from the project, and also the CPD course. So this can be interesting as well. Then we have chapter 4, which focuses on the CPD course sections. This is the lengthiest chapter in the handbook because it contains the different materials and activities of the CPD course with particular here guidelines, suggestions, advice. Further readings also are provided. And this is taking into consideration not only for pre-service and in-service teachers, but also the other stakeholders involved. But essentially anyone who can engage with the course either on their own or in, as we mentioned here, in a group supported or mentored by a teacher educator. As we've, if I'm not mistaken, Medea mentioned the course can be implemented in different places. So these are aspects that can be useful. And all sections include a summary of the issues discussed in each relevant section. It's accompanied by indicative responses that can be given to the activities, some thoughts and insights that were provided as well by the CPD participants that did the course with us in 2020. Here at the end of the presentation, I'm going to go to the website and I can show you, and if I have the time to show you a little bit quickly the handbook and the layout just for you to have an idea. So this here is very useful in terms of who wants to go into each of the sections and modules to explore it. Chapter 5 is the evaluation and lessons learned. So basically this chapter is centered on the monitoring and evaluation of the activities that led to the quality assurance of the CPD course, namely its piloting phase. And this chapter was in charge of the Oslo Met team. The ENRICH Consortium partners reflections in terms of the lessons learned. And also we have some recommendations that for future improvements that may be done as well. Here, I just want to mention, and my co-editors of the volume, Luís Guerra and Ricardo Pereira, who will be participating as well, and Silen, who's also here, our junior researcher. And now, if I think I still have some time, I'm going to just go quickly to the website let me see here. If you go here, this is our ENRICH Project website. You go here to download handbook, which will take you here to the handbook, and just click on it and you'll have access to it. I just want to quickly here, you can see the handbook online. We have here the different sections, as you can see. So each of it's very easy to guide, and you can see what interests you. So you can go directly to the sections that are of interest. As I mentioned, the CPD course sections in chapter 4, we have each of the modules, if I'm not mistaken, 28 that are involved, so that you can go to each specific module and see what was done. I'm just going to quickly go here to, I think it's one of the first ones. Pardon me, just quickly, so that you can have an example. This is one, let me see. We can do here. We'll do Nikos's using English as an example. So as you can see, for instance, we have a first part which offers an orientation of this module. Afterwards, you will have access to the YouTube video that was provided, that was done for each of the sections. So you have here the link, so you can watch it. Also, we have here a brief summary of the of what is discussed in the video with some of the key aspects that are developed. Then we have some navigational guidelines regarding each of the activities that were presented for that module. So you can take a look at, for instance, here, activity 1, what was done. We also have here some responses that were provided by participants that did the course in 2020. So we have here also some feedback, which is always good for some food for thought. We've also inserted some additional questions that may be useful for you to reflect upon the issues that we've developed on, and also some further reading materials that are useful to take a look at that you can access. In addition to this, at the end, I just want to mention that can be useful as well is we have a glossary that is provided with some of the key terminology in case someone may have some difficulties, or is unfamiliar with some of the concepts that are here developed. We have a glossary at the end that may accompany and help you throughout the course. So these are just some of the aspects that I wanted to mention here regarding the handbook. Again, it's available online, so you can download it, and that's it.